Hello spectators and welcome to the show. It is your host MosaicArts here with my final video that I am planning to make on the Super Mario Galaxy movie before it comes out. So, I watched that final trailer that came out, by the time you're watching this, a few weeks ago from now and stuff. And I had some interesting things to comment on regarding it. Okay, there's one more thing. What is this?
Hello, Maggie.
No! He's back!
Hello everyone, I'm Shigeru Miyamoto.
Oh no, he's back! I knew he was going to be back!
Many people from around...
And in general, as I have been seeing from all of the trailers, I can tell that, like, this movie is going to be pretty good, despite one concern that I actually have about the movie. Basically, the simple way to put it is this. With how much this movie is showing off, I may have just figured out the plot of this entire movie, no joke, beginning to end. Like, with how many scenes are being shown off, I just think that, like, that's possible I guessed it. Now, with that being said, spectators, what I intend to dedicate this video to is seeing if I can guess what the entire movie is going to play out like, beginning to end, and then of course, a few weeks after this, when I go watch the movie and stuff, I will come back to you, you know, probably with my review of the movie, and also a status report on, like, how much I actually got right about, because I would be surprised if I got as much right as, like, I suspect that I am from just what I saw in this trailer. But anyway, with that being said, let's not waste any more time. The way I see this movie opening up is that it will nod to the last movie with us being shown a mini Bowser's castle, and we'll have that part play out where Bowser intensely paints his picture, you know, of a skeletal Mario and stuff like that, as we saw in the trailer. Which then, of course, will be the whole bit in which he shows his utter picture to Mario and Luigi, and you know, all that stuff we saw in the trailer with Luigi saying he liked it while Mario just called the picture trash. I think all of that will, of course, happen too, and perhaps that will then be where Bowser, you know, slams the door shut again and accidentally gets his tail caught in the door. Sometime after that, they will then reintroduce what Mario and Luigi's whole situation in the Mushroom Kingdom is, where they'll probably, if I had to guess, get another call for a plumbing job. Once again, knowing to the last movie and how much their situation was similar there, and how much has changed now that they're in the Mushroom Kingdom. Once that entire scene wraps up, I think that what will then happen is that they'll cut to the Desert Kingdom. The Mario Bros will be doing their whole thing, and as we see this desert scene with them riding their bikes to do their plumbing work, they'll get there, of course, to be greeted by the skeleton people and stuff. And, of course, this is where, while they're there, they end up discovering Yoshi, who ends up becoming buddies with them. Now, at this point of the movie, I think what's going to happen, most likely, is that we have an entire montage, basically, of them doing stuff in the Mushroom Kingdom, you know, now that they've found them and stuff. You know, we also saw this in the trailer of the movie, and I feel like they do gotta put it somewhere. And what will probably ultimately end up happening is they head back to the main grassland area where Peach's castle is, getting there before nightfall come while she were preparing for the festivals. Something will happen during this part of the movie with the whole chain chomp, where Yoshi ends up eating it and stuff, and you know, does his whole chain chomp impersonation and stuff, and then promptly deals with the chain chomp, probably by like swallowing it or something like that, turning it into an egg and then just throwing it somewhere. You know, showing off the whole thing of how Yoshi is able to eat enemies and stuff. Some point after that, they will meet with Peach at the castle. Peach and Yoshi will most certainly get acquainted and introduced to each other. They'll probably use this whole bit, you know, reintroduce Peach again and stuff. That's what I think they will do. Then the whole scene will happen where Bowser tries to escape, and Yoshi catches him and stops him before that happens. And you know, the whole thing with him, you know, biting Mario and stuff. I think that's when all this will happen. And what I think will then happen is that with the Star Festival beginning, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi will head back to the main town, where Yoshi will then meet Toad. And I presume this is the same Toad from the last movie. It just makes perfect sense. You know, holding him, eating his lollipop and stuff. Yeah, all of that. And then something I'm almost certain is going to happen to lead the Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi going back to the castle, which I most likely think they'll have a meaning of some kind of castle, like talking with Peach and otherwise. And I think, as we have been shown in the trailer, that is where the whole scene is going to happen with Mario and Peach, where, you know, Mario gives Peach, you know, her gift and stuff like that. That's what seems to be the most likely to me to happen. Some point after this, I think something will happen where they're all in the main castle room. Peach will be talking about something. I'm actually not sure, if I have to be honest. But very short after this is where the entire castle evacuation scene is then going to take place, in which, of course, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi will then end up staying behind, battling with Bowser Jr., in which I predict they will then lose, in which the castle ultimately falls back down. They, of course, escape it, as we see in the trailer. Bowser ultimately gets freed. Peach and Toad, though, will stay stuck in the castle for the time being. Now, when it comes to Act 2, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi will be trying to figure out how to save Peach, who they eventually realize is stuck up in space in her castle. And eventually, while doing this, they discover the spaceship and figure out how to get to space. But before they go to space, I think the movie is going to have a preparation montage, hence where that one house scene ends up happening before they leave. I'm pretty sure this house is in the Mushroom Kingdom, not back on Earth, because as we know, they don't live on Earth anymore. They live in the Mushroom Kingdom now. Hello spectators, post-production Mosaic here. Basically, I was saying, I think that this whole preparation scene is going to happen like around, you know, around when they're about to go to space and things like that, right? That's what I said. Well, scratch a lot of that, to be honest, because I noticed after rewatching the footage that Mario is still holding the parasol in the house preparation scene. That, as we see in the scene later on, he ends up giving to Peach, of course. We even see in the scene where Peach ends up blasting off with the launch star that, yeah, you see right here, she's holding the parasol in her hand. So really, I actually think that this scene is actually going to happen before the party stuff and things, and, you know, the castle getting abducted and stuff. Not later on when they're about to go on the spaceship. There'll probably still be a preparation scene of some kind beforehand, but it'll just be different. With that being said, we can now return to the video. Meanwhile, when it comes to Peach and Toad, they'll end up meeting the Lumas. These Lumas will help her escape her castle and go to space, which again we see in the trailer with them using the launch star. And you know how in the Super Mario Galaxy games, the Lumas can turn into launch stars. I think that is exactly what's going to happen. At the same time, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi are going to go to space in the rocket. Now, sometime after both of these groups go to space, I think what's going to happen is that the three of them will arrive at the Comet Observatory, and they're going to meet Rosalina there, with there then being some kind of introduction to the whole Mario Galaxy portion of things. And I think Mario is going to get the spinning power that he has in the original game in the movie, and that they just haven't shown that off yet. Like, that's one of the few things they haven't shown off. And that's what's going to happen, is that around this part of the movie, that's where that's going to happen. And I think at this point, there's going to be a pretty strong chance that they do more space travel to many different planets, and this is where I think at some point the Blue Toad rescue is going to happen, because yes, I think that's what's going to happen, and there's going to be some point where they rescue a Blue Toad that's stuck somewhere. Probably, honestly, yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen, because again, this is another one of those things that also happens in, like, the games, where you kind of have to rescue the Toads who are stuck places and stuff. And given how they go to so many places from rescuing this Toad, I'm pretty sure these places are different planets around the galaxy and stuff. So I'm pretty sure that's when that is going to happen, and we might even see the Pikmins here, who knows, because crazy fact is, they are in the movie too. Now, from Peach and Toad's perspective, I think pretty close to this point in the movie is where they're going to end up taking the detour towards Castle, and are ultimately going to end up facing him there. Now, one action scene later, they are going to get whatever the MacGuffin is, which I'm pretty sure are in fact going to be Power Stars. And the reason I think this is when it's going to happen is that as far as I can tell, regarding the movie, Peach and Toad are the only ones involved in this whole action scene with the whole Mario 2 crew. You know, Birdo, Clogrip, Mauser, these other characters and otherwise and stuff. And so what that leads me to think is that either A, Peach and Toad will have already met back up with Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi again, or alternatively, and this seems more likely to me because it would create more reason for them to be split up for a while, this is going to happen before Peach and Toad also discover the Comet Observatory, and then sometime after this, they are going to. And I believe that when they go to the Comet Observatory again, or perhaps they're going to meet each other on the same planet, that's also another possibility. This is finally when the group of 5 is going to meet again. And of course, this is where I believe the Mega Lake battle is going to happen, which, as we can see from multiple trailer shots, this battle happens at the Comet Observatory. And given the explosions in the background of Mario and Peach, the implication of this is that they have met up again, and therefore, this is where they're going to be battling Mega Lake, most likely. But here's what I also think about this fight. I don't think it's going to turn out well, and here is why I think so. Something we also know from the trailers is that Mario and Luigi will somehow be turned into babies. Now, how does this happen? The reason I'm pretty sure this is what's going to happen is notice Peach's absence in the shots where Mario and Luigi are turned into babies. Maybe the implication of this is that Peach actually does get captured this time around. That's what I think is the implication of that. Also, I really think Rosalina is going to get captured here too. Here's why I think so. Notice how there's a shot in the trailer, if you look really closely, of Bowser Jr. forcing Rosalina into a chair with, I'm pretty sure, a magic brush made by EGAD. And how Kamek is in the background in a place that is suspiciously similar to the brief Yoshi vs. Kamek fight that we also see in the trailer, which I will get to in a sec. But the important things I think that happen here are Peach and Rosalina get captured, or even just Rosalina. Peach ends up getting separated from the rest of the group or something like that. One of those two things happen. In terms of what I think much of this act will be about, I think it will be about reuniting the group and curing Mario and Luigi, while Peach will, again, I think, be captured at this point. I think this makes sense given how everything is played out in the trailer so far, and if this movie actually does end up playing out how I think, but yeah. At some point around this part of the movie is where I think Yoshi's battle with Kamek is most likely going to take place. That's just my prediction there. And where I think things are ultimately going to lead at this point is that the group will get reunited one way or another. Again, you know how there's that shot of Mario and Peach working together to get through those lava-y obstacles. I think that that whole bit is going to be towards the end of the movie, along with this shot where we see Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach all going across all the planets and stuff together and stuff. I believe that that shot, again, is going to be really close to the end of the movie, to be honest. It's just the feeling I get. And another thing, too, there was a shot where we see Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi all get powered up with various power-ups and stuff. I also think this whole part is going to be towards the end of the movie, because if you look at the background elements, you'll notice that a lot of Bowser's, stuff is back there. Again, similar to the end of the first movie, with the whole forced marriage between Peach and Bowser and stuff that happened. And also how there was that whole bit that happened with Fire DK being in the trailer, and how that was also towards the end of the trailer. I have a feeling that the climax of the movie is where they are going to show up this whole bit happen. That is what I think. And to be honest, that is just about where what we've been shown of the movie so far kind of just cuts off. So the rest of this is just full-on guesswork. I think what's going to happen is, of course, there will be a final battle with Bowser once again. Notice that maniacal shot of him that we got very recently and stuff. And that there's going to be some kind of adaptation of sorts of Super Mario Galaxy's finale here. But they ultimately will not completely adopt the ending exactly. Furthermore, I think in an effort to upstage the finale of the first movie, we're likely going to see something happen where they try to bridge the many different planets the group has traveled throughout the movie into one big final thing. let this happen, it would actually be really cool. Now, in the final portion of the battle, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. It most likely is going to be something with Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, and Peach all working together to defeat him. You know. Oh, and Rosalina, of course, all working together to defeat him. You know, bringing together all the major characters in the movie up to this point. That's what I just think makes the most sense. And they'll defeat Bowser in some way in which he, I don't know, is sucked into a vortex or black hole of some kind. That is what I think. I just get the feeling that this movie is going to try to be more definitive with them defeating Bowser this time, where it's like, it's pretty clear we're not going to see him again for a while. Like, I don't think this movie is going to just end with him being captured again, because that just seems like it wouldn't make sense. So I think they're going to go with something more like definitive with him. No, not to say he's going to die. I mean, come on now. I mean, people thought that Eggman was going to die in like Sonic 3 the movie, and come on now, we know that he's going to be back for Sonic 4 the movie. Wait a minute, this is about Super Mario Galaxy, not Sonic the Hedgehog. Anyway, back on topic. And finally, I think after that, the movie is going to close. However it goes, and whatever the arc's about, it'll most likely close off with that. The credits will then roll, and there'll be a post-credit scene that I think is going to be about one of 3 different things. Maybe even 2 of them if they decide to do a mid-credit scene, but at the very least, I think they're going to do one of these things. Something setting up the Super Smash Bros. Movie. Given how we know that there's going to be Pikmin in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, from what we have been seeing from like the renders of like all the different characters that are going to be in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, this is a possibility that we just absolutely cannot rule out at this point. There's also rumors going around that Kirby is going to be in this movie. At least I think I saw one at some point. And then another rumor I know that Fox McCloud is going to be in this movie. Now, I don't know about those rumors, but given how we know about there being Pikmin in the Mario Galaxy movie, it's just like, it's not impossible, and I really think they are trying to set that up. Hello, spectators. So, post-production MosaicArts here again. So here's the funny thing. While I was in the middle of recording this video, Nintendo decided to just casually confirm, or Illumination, or Universal, whoever, oh yeah, by the way, Fox McCloud is in this movie. So, you know how I was just kind of saying, like, oh, I've heard rumors that Fox McCloud's in this movie. Oh, yeah, scratch that. He's in the movie. They literally showed us, they literally just casually posted on Facebook, oh yeah, by the way, Fox McCloud's in this movie. So, while I am going to pose 2 other possibilities still of like what could happen in the post-credit scene in this movie, I think I'm pretty confident at this point what it's going to be about. That is all, continuing the video. Possibility 2. Daisy shows up, possibly setting up a third, and if they don't show off Daisy at the end, they might show off Wario, and maybe even Waluigi. Or, and this is an extremely daring and bold prediction, to be honest, the movie ends off with a cut back to the now defeated Wart and the 8-Bits, in which the remnants of the group now plot effectively revenge against Peach and her kingdom. Hear me out on this last prediction. Wart's voice actor is cited in the trailers, something of which we usually only know with major characters. Furthermore, I suspect that Wart's role in this movie is going to be fairly brief. Something like that would suggest that they aren't quite done with everything that they want to do with him. So in other words, the Super Mario Galaxy movie ending with a setup to the Super Mario Bros. 2 movie? It's possible. I wouldn't completely rule it out. So, with that being said, that is what my whole prediction is of how the Super Mario Galaxy movie is going to play out. I wanted to get this video out as quickly as I could, as the Super Mario Galaxy movie comes out literally a few days now, by the time that I am putting this video up on the 1st of the next month, and so I wanted to get this out as quickly as possible, and honestly, I kind of want this video to age like milk. And if you're wondering why I say that because of the fact that I want to be completely off guard, and I'm hoping I didn't get everything right just from what we've been shown in the movie, because that would mean that this movie was just kind of predictable, and I kind of want it to subvert my expectations. So, Mario Galaxy Movie, I am hoping that you actually don't meet my expectations. Wouldn't that be cool? With that being said, though, MosaicArts is leaving the building. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more family-friendly gaming content pertaining to Nintendo, Sonic the Hedgehog, Minecraft, Mega Man, or otherwise. And until next time, spectators, see you the next show. Now, when it comes to much of what the final act will be a grout. What the heck did I just say? What? I am Grout. A block from modded Minecraft. In the Mario movie. And if not Mario. No, Mario's already in the movie. Of course he's in the movie. His name is literally in the title of it. Having a Mario movie without Mario would be like having a Sonic movie without Sonic the Hedgehog, or like a Pokemon thing without Pikachu.